Welcome to the news at 10 on NTA News 24, reaching you live from Abuja. I am Nolin Ebelame. The headlines. INEC chairman appeals for expedited Electoral Act amendment. Africa Energy Week. Nigeria reassures transparent and investor-friendly petroleum sector.
The number of rigs were barely about 14, but today the number of rigs working in Nigeria about 50. And we hope to, increase this number significantly before the end of the year.
University Union demands better funding, improved working conditions to curb brain drain.
Urges the federal government and state governments to grant full autonomy to university governing councils.
And Lassa fever continues to consume more lives. NCDC advocates intense advocacy to curb spread. And now to the news. Nigeria has reaffirmed her commitment to creating a transparent, stable, and investor-friendly petroleum sector. This is the highlight of President Bola Tinubu's keynote message to the Africa Energy Week in Cape Town, South Africa, presented by Minister of State Petroleum Resources Oil, Henneke Lekpobiri. Lydia Sampson reports.
The minister declared that Nigeria is open for business and actively pursuing policies that prioritize investment, efficiency, and long-term growth in the oil sector. Describing the gathering as a call to action, Lekpobiri reiterates that Nigeria is ready not just to participate in the global energy market, but to lead reform and growth on the African continent.
When this government came, the number of rigs were barely about 14, but today the number of rigs working in Nigeria about 50. And we hope to, increase this number significantly before the end of the year. These are signs that the reforms are working, the idle assets have been activated, and existing ones are being optimized. These are concrete, measurable results that send strong signal to investors. Nigeria is offering certainty, policy transparency, incentives, and large-scale opportunities.
Senator Lekpobiri outlined bold policy measures implemented under President Tinubu's administration, reinforcing the Petroleum Industry Act in providing a clear and predictable fiscal and regulatory environment for investors, making Nigeria prioritizing legal, regulatory, financial, and structural transformation. To this effect, Nigeria's upstream sector is already recovering with the Project 1 Million Barrels initiative launched in October 2024, raising daily crude oil production to over 1.7 million barrels per day. Additionally, the number of active drilling rigs has grown from 31 in January to 50 by July 2025, a clear signal that reforms are unlocking value across the sector. He urged the continent to retain more value from its hydrocarbon resources by focusing on infrastructure, industrial development, and localized value chains. He noted that Africa spends over $120 billion annually on hydrocarbons, largely through imports, calling it a missed opportunity for economic transformation. In Abuja, Lydia Sampson, NTA News.
In a similar news, Lydia Sampson also reports that Nigeria is stepping up its game by adopting advanced technology to ensure precise hydrocarbon measurements. The move is aimed at boosting efficiency and transparency in the oil and gas sector. Chairman of the Nigeria Hydrocarbon Measurement Conference, Austin Olorunshola, told journalists in Abuja that accurate measurement is vital to maximize resource value and secure long-term industry growth.
According to Austin Olorunshola, a former DPR official, the adoption of digital metering and real-time monitoring systems is making a big difference. These tools are improving the accurate quantification of crude oil and natural gas volumes.
Maybe many years ago, it wasn't too much of a problem because we were only like 80 or 100 million people. But now that we are more than 200 million people still sharing this same oil and gas, there's so much focus from even citizens themselves, because at the end of the day, that's the cash register. This is really where we all get whatever revenues that government really requires. And so this is really why we're still very much excited to continue to get industry, like you rightly say, real stakeholders, get them all together to talk about what have we done from last year to this year.
He explained that this integration of technology supports smarter resource management, cuts down on losses, and strengthens regulatory compliance across the sector. To this end, regulators and private operators are working hand in hand to deploy smart sensors and automated solutions for effective hydrocarbon measurement. In Abuja, Lydia Samson, NTA News.
Let's go to the courtroom now. 21 years jail term awaits 11 suspects if found guilty of pipeline vandalism and oil theft. The Special Prosecution Team of the Interagency Task Force on Petroleum Theft arraigned the suspects before the Federal High Court sitting in Yenagoa, Bayelsa State. Ibinimizi Timiyola reports.
Crude oil is the major revenue earner for the nation. Pipeline vandalism, crude oil theft, and illegal refining caused the nation huge revenue loss besides polluting the environment. To bring to book individuals and organizations involved in oil theft and illegal bunkering, the federal government inaugurated the Special Prosecution Team of the Interagency Task Force on Petroleum Products Theft. The Joint Security Team apprehended the 11 suspects for allegedly tampering with the Trans Ramos pipeline at Opukishi, Beniside in Ekeremon local government area of Bayelsa State. The suspects were arraigned at the Federal High Court sitting in Yenagoa, Bayelsa State on 2-count charge, to which they pleaded not guilty and were granted bail.
Going by the Miscellaneous Offences Act, if a person is caught, it goes from 21 years imprisonment to life imprisonment. It will not pay for a person. A young man should be engaged in crime that he knows once the offenses are proved against him, he is going in for it. And this is the mandate of the Interagency Special Prosecution Team, and we are here. We will do our duty to the best of our ability.
Appeared in this matter for the 5th, the 6th, and the 7th defendant. The charge had been read to them and they all pleaded not guilty. We have also applied for bail, and graciously my Lord granted the bail for all the 11 defendants.
Hearing has been fixed for the 11th of November 2025. In Yenagoa, Ebinimi Zitimiola, NTA News.
And talking agriculture now, 20 cooperative groups in Gombe State have benefited from the federal government's free agro-inputs distribution program. Abbas Maikano reports that there are items including basic farm machines for small-scale farmers that are essential for agricultural production.
Distribution of the agro-inputs and basic farm machineries is part of the resolutions of the federal government to develop the sector in line with the renewed Hope agenda. Represented by the Director General Services of the Ministry, Mr. Kukas Kizoto, explained that the gesture is also to support the small-scale farmers who are faced with the challenges of high market cost of these essential tools. 20 representatives of the cooperative groups received allocations on behalf of their members.
This input that you have seen, it is a free of charge instead of the farmers to take his money to go and buy it in the market. So actually it minimizes the suffering of the farmers in Gombe State.
We thank the federal government for all the things they done for us because they did it severally. This is not the first time.
Items distributed include water pumps, herbicides, sprayers, growth enhancers, and fungicides, among others. In Gombe, Abbas Mekano, NT News.
In a similar news, in line with the implementation of its food security policy, the federal government has commenced the distribution of farm inputs to farmers across the country, with 12 states benefiting in the first phase. Achigili Magaji reports that 280 farmers cutting across cooperative societies, women and youth groups, as well as persons with disabilities are benefiting in Nasarawa State.
The inputs distributed include water pumps for irrigation, chemicals, grinding machines, and processing machines, among others. The Minister of Agriculture and Poverty Reduction, represented by the Director, Rural Development at the Ministry, Frank Adole, notes that the gesture is pursuant to the food security policy of the federal government, where food will be available, accessible, and affordable. He tasked the beneficiaries to put the inputs into good use and not to sell them, as there is a mechanism to trace such items to the beneficiaries.
In alignment with the Renewed Hope agenda of Mr. President, the federal government declared, you will recall, a state of emergency on food security in July 2023. Therefore, I want to use this opportunity to assure you that this administration has demonstrated total political will to transform agricultural sector of our dear country by making food security a #1 top priority.
Take it as a gift from the federal government that will help us revamp food production in this country.
Representatives of the Nasarawa State government and the beneficiaries expressed gratitude for the gesture.
One of the basic problems the common farmer faces is farm inputs. We are very, very happy to the President of Nigeria, to the Federal Ministry of Agriculture for their kind gesture to us.
Please pass our information. We are grateful to Mr. President, and we are willing to work with these items that has been given unto us today.
We will not take this kind gesture for granted.
The input, which are given free of charge by the federal government, is said to be an agricultural component of the Renewed Hope initiative. Achigili Magaji, NTA News.
On electoral matters, INEC Chairman Professor Mahmoud Yakubu has appealed to the National Assembly to expedite action on the amendment of the 2022 Electoral Act to enable the Commission come up with guidelines for the 2027 general election. He made the appeal while receiving a delegation of the European Union Election Observation Mission at the Commission's headquarters in Abuja.
The Commission has carefully considered all the 8 recommendations specifically addressed to us in your report. Action has been taken on aspects of the recommendations that only require administrative action to implement. Similarly, action is being taken on cross-cutting recommendations that require collective action between INEC and other bodies and stakeholders, while waiting for the conclusion of the ongoing legal review by the National Assembly on the recommendations that require legislative intervention.
What we are here to do is to look at the recommendations that flowed from the overall mission that were contained in the final report of the mission back in 2023. And we are very happy to see that there has been very significant progress against these recommendations. We recognize that there are certain time constraints, both in terms of judicial reform as well as administrative reform, and of course constitutional reform, which is
emphasized that out of the 38 recommendations made by the EU in the 2023 general election, 8 were within the jurisdiction of the INEC and they have been implemented, while 30 need legislative consideration. This is the news at 10 on NTA News 24. More reports after this break. Stay with us.
Feel the power of precision, engineered to perfection. Every component is crafted with care, and each design is meticulously tested. From concept to creation, our engineers push the boundaries of technology, seamlessly blending performance and sustainability with a deep commitment to African ingenuity. Introducing the CNG Boss, a remarkable achievement in engineering designed to operate on compressed natural gas, a cleaner and more sustainable fuel alternative. At Innocent Vehicles, we proudly lead the way in creating greener mobility across Africa. And it doesn't stop there. From SUVs to sedans, spacious buses to electric cars, Innocent offers a wide range of models designed to meet every need. Innocent Vehicle, the pride of African Road.
This is NTA News 24.
Thank you for staying with us. As part of efforts to identify weaknesses in the Nigerian electoral system, the Policy and Legal Advocacy Center has recommended critical issues that should be addressed in the ongoing constitution amendment process. Impact Development Initiative and the Youth Electoral Reform Project in a related development convened a national multi-stakeholder coordination forum on electoral reforms.
Unveiling of a compendium of review reports of electoral reform panels and observers since 2010. It listed 27 areas of concern and the required legislations that are needed to significantly improve on Nigeria's electoral process. Among the critical and priority issues identified by PLAC are the appointment of members of the National and Resident Electoral Commissioners, unbundling of INEC, establishment of political parties registration and regulatory commission, establishment of Electoral Offences Commission, reorganization and integration of the existing State Independent Electoral Commission into the structure of INEC, and reserved seat for women in legislative chambers. Other key issues include conduct of elections on the same day, independent candidature, use of technology in voting process and procedure, diaspora voting and swearing in of winners after adjudication of electoral disputes. Similarly, Impact Development Initiative and the Youth Electoral Reform Project convened the National Multi-Stakeholder Coordination Forum on Electoral Reforms. The forum, a high-level strategy session, aims to strengthen coordination among civil society organizations, professional bodies, legislative stakeholders, media partners, and youth leaders ahead of critical electoral amendment votes. The forum also provided an opportunity to consolidate diverse advocacy efforts into a unified roadmap that amplifies youth and other electoral stakeholders' reform priorities and builds momentum for inclusive, transparent, and credible electoral reforms in Nigeria. Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
On education, the Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities, SANU, wants the federal and state governments to increase budgetary allocations to the health and education sectors to improve living standards of citizens. This formed part of the communique issued at the end of the union's National Executive Council meeting held in Owerri, Imo State. SANU National President of the Union, Mohammed Haruna Ibrahim, who read out the communique to newsmen, says, NEC believes improved working conditions will curb brain drain of professionals.
Urges the federal government and state governments to grant full autonomy to university governing councils as enshrined in the autonomy law. This will reduce political interference and enable decisions that best serve the staff and students of the universities. Strengthen existing research and innovation funds and make them accessible to all disciplines to ensure consistent power for groundbreaking studies and technological development. And this will also provide a living wage and with guaranteed timely salary payments to attract, motivate, and retain top talents among both teaching and non-teaching staff.
The union urges government to honor all agreements reached with workers' unions and ensure equitable distribution of funds to all university-based unions, especially the approved 50 billion naira earned allowance for industrial harmony.
50 billion naira earned allowances to reflect principles of fairness, equity, and inclusiveness across all non-teaching staff unions for universities and inter-university centers, in line with the Memorandum of Understanding and Memorandum of Action signed between the government and our unions.
While appreciating the federal government for the installation of solar farms in some universities, NEC calls for the urgent nationwide expansion of solar power installations to all public universities and research institutions, as it also demands payment of outstanding salaries and allowances of SANU members in some state universities. In other news across the world, governments, civil society groups, and peace advocates are calling for renewed commitment to tolerance, dialogue, and peaceful coexistence at a time when violence and conflict continue to tear communities apart. In this special report, Alika Okbanacharua takes a look at how Nigerians are reflecting on the message of peace and non-violence on this International Day.
Places like this IDP camp are reminders of lives uprooted by violence. And as the world marks the International Day of Non-Violence, the lesson is clear. Peace begins with the choices we make every day, not through force, but through understanding and compassion. This year's observance comes at a time of heightened global tension across different regions. Here in Nigeria, Peace Advocates says the call for non-violence is more relevant than ever.
Evolution of society, you cannot stop complete violence because it's part of human existence, but we can reduce it to barest minimum.
I think if we strengthen our institutions, particularly law enforcement institutions, the security and intelligence agencies, and the governance structure all along, we are likely to reduce violence.
Hawa Usman and many others like her are living proof of the scars of violence and displacements.
I lost my husband and brother to insurgency. Since then, life has been difficult for me and my 2 children.
Violence, husband against wife, neighbor against neighbor, siblings, neighborhood is violence.
From schools and city squares to online campaigns, Nigerians are raising their voices in unison, promoting peace and rejecting violence.
For me personally, I think one of the things societies, community, schools, families can do is to preach peace.
Advocacy groups also remind us that non-violence is more than the absence of war. It is a way of life built on respect, dialogue, and compassion. In Abuja, Alika Okpanachi, Arua, NTA News.
The Federal Ministry of Labor and Employment, in collaboration with International Labour Organization and Oxfam, has convened a stakeholders workshop on the revalidation of the National Gender Workplace Policy, aimed at promoting inclusivity and fairness across institutions and organizations in Nigeria. This story will come in our next bulletin. You are still watching the news at 10 on NTA News 24. Another break beckons at this point. Stay with us.
The 2027 general elections. Your voice matters. Join us at the Electoral Reforms Town Hall this Saturday and every last Saturday of the month on NTA News 24 at 8 to 9 p.m. where citizens, policymakers, and stakeholders come together to shape a stronger democracy. Let's discuss transparency, fairness, and the future of our elections. Don't just watch change happen. Be part of it. Engage through our various social media platforms. Electoral Reforms Town Hall, building trust, strengthening democracy, securing the future. Every last Saturday of the month on NTA News 24 at 8 to 9 p.m. Join us.
Welcome back. Now, in today's modern world, no girl should have to miss school because of her inability to afford sanitary products needed to experience required menstrual health. It is unacceptable. Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu made this declaration in Gombe State during the national launch of Renewed Hope Initiative, Flow with Confidence, a menstrual health intervention targeting schoolgirls across the country. State House correspondent Adeni Tayo reports.
Sometimes you might even get embarrassed when like the opposite gender see you like that. Some people might even be like mean enough to laugh like that, so it's actually not nice.
For a young girl, one of the difficult and embarrassing stories to tell is that of menstruation, particularly where sanitary items needed to guarantee menstrual dignity are not easily available. Esther Lucas' account, a reality for many other young girls in rural and underserved communities, is not only a cause for social inhibition, but also a dent on confidence that affects school attendance during their monthly flow.
Some who attend resort to using unsafe, unhygienic alternatives, while others stay at home altogether, falling behind in their studies, and in some cases eventually drop out of school.
A national launch of the Renewed Hope Initiative, Flow with Confidence in Gombe State by Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu.
We will be distributing 1 year's supply of disposable sanitary pads to 370,000 schoolgirls in rural communities across the nation at the end of this program. All states and the federal capital territory will receive 10,000 pads each through the state first ladies and RHI coordinators. This is to support our girls in rural communities and those who are unable to afford sanitary pads. Each beneficiary will receive 1 year's supply of pads. We chose disposable sanitary pads because it offers a simple, hygienic option that offers better health benefits for a woman's reproductive well-being. I want to especially appeal to the executive chairman of local government areas, given your critical position as the arm of the government closest to the people and your role in delivering essential services.
Our concern is that we raise the standards of hygiene and sanitation. And what we are doing now is part of it.
This initiative would deliver menstrual hygiene, education and awareness in school, communities and among families, helping to demystify menstruation and promote healthy practices.
Adolescent girls all across the world are critical for the development of any nation. We acknowledge numerous challenges they face, amongst which you are addressing one of them today.
Away from the launch, the First Lady inaugurated the newly built Federal Medical Center, Kumo. She was also the guest of the Lamido Ako Alhaji Muhammad Atiku, who conferred on her the traditional title of Sarauniya Yaki, Queen Warrior of Ako Emirates. She also held an expanded interaction with members of Gombe State Traditional Council in Gombe. From Gombe, Adeni Taiwo. From Gombe, Adeni Taiwo, NTA.
All right, we apologize for the signing out there. And still talking in Gombe, the First Lady Oluremi Tinubu has been conferred with the traditional title of Sarauniya Riaki, the Queen Warrior of Akko Emirate in Gombe State. The honor, in recognition of her passion for defending the interests of the weak across the nation, was conferred on her by the Lamido Akko Alhaji Umar Muhammad Atiku during her two-day walking visit to the state. Acknowledging the recognition, the First Lady pledged to sustain her intervention for the girl child and further enlisted the support of traditional rulers in the state to drive her advocacy. Her conferment ceremony was witnessed by the state governor, Muhammad Inuwa Yahaya, and the chief whip of the House of Representatives, Honorable Usman Bello Kumu. While in the state, the First Lady will perform the national launch of Renewed Hope Initiative Flow with Confidence, a vital menstrual health intervention for schoolgirls. October 1 each year is not only celebrated as Nigeria's Independence Day, but also designated by the United Nations as a day to honor the elderly worldwide, recognizing their roles in society and highlighting the challenges affecting their well-being. As Nigeria marks its 65th independence anniversary, on this 1st October 2025, older persons around the world observe the 35th anniversary. Chinenye Ngoye reports.
It was not just a day to celebrate Nigeria's independence, but the day serves as a reminder for governments and societies to prioritize elder care, social inclusion, as well as policy intervention. This year's celebration, the 35th in its series, emphasizes the role of older adults in shaping the society. And that is why some human rights groups and organizations, such as the Global Knights Foundation and its partners, are advocating promoting inclusivity, strengthening human rights, protection, and mobilizing commitment to safeguard the rights of older persons worldwide, among others.
There's elderly abuse. There are people who see older people, when they say, you know, go die. This one are witch, or those ones, the ones who are the most vulnerable are those who don't have children. And then you find them, not being terribly neglected. And you find that even a lot of our people, this Japa syndrome, people have gone. They have their parents here. They employ caregivers. These caregivers abuse those people.
I kick against this having a home for the elderly people. It is not our culture. It is not our tradition. And again, the elderly ones should equally help themselves. They should not be depending on their children. Think of what to do to make life meaningful, even before you even retire.
When you involve creativity into your everyday life as a retiree, you get the best out of your system. So I want the retirees to believe in themselves.
We are all aspiring to be old one day. Government need to do more in taking care of the elderly person or the senior citizens in the society.
This is a call to action for individuals, governments, and organizations to embed a life course perspective in policies, ensuring evolving needs are met as people age. In Abuja, Chinenye Ngoye, NTA News.
Elsewhere, the United Nations Special Envoy on Road Safety, Jen Todd, says it is far more important for countries to focus on preventing road crashes than always responding after they happen. According to him, this approach will go a long way in restoring sanity on the roads. He made the call during a visit to the President of the Court of Appeal, Justice Monica Dongbang-Mensim. Oyeyemi Ajayi reports.
What began as a courtesy call to the President of the Court of Appeal soon turned into a deeper conversation about road safety. in company of the Corps Marshal of the Federal Safety Corps, Sheikh Mohammed. Discussions centered on the urgent need for stronger preventive measures rather than reactive ones. Both sides agreed that many lives could have been saved if preventive systems have been prioritized.
I want to appeal that the World Day of Remembrance should be given the status of a convention at the United Nations, so that the issues of victims of road crash can be more be more focused and given more attention.
The United Nations envoy further stressed the need for countries to provide accurate statistics and realistic data, noting that such transparency will improve global road safety strategies.
We need to prevent victims. We don't want victims. And we have the prescriptions from education, law enforcement, quality of roads, quality of vehicles, quality of post-crash cares.
He also encouraged the adoption of the UN standard helmets, describing them as life-saving. John Todd revealed that the United Nations is ready to support Nigeria in setting up a factory to produce helmets that meet international standards. Oyeyemi Ajayi, NTA News.
Still on safety, fires remain one of Nigeria's recurring safety threats. As the new Controller General of the Federal Fire Service, Samuel Olumude, begins an assessment in the FCT, Victor Azu reports that he is promising both welfare and discipline.
His first stop is the FCT command in Kubwa, where Controller Mohammed Anas lays it bare. Not enough pump operators, not enough mobility, and not enough training. Assets are stretched and liabilities growing.
Your presence here today will give us that platform to request for installation of fire hydrants in Kubwa metropolitan fire stations, and also maintain the one in Wuse fire station.
Firefighters then stage a simulation, showing how quickly they can respond in an emergency, a demonstration of readiness for their new boss. After touring the Wuse station, Controller General Olumude says staff welfare is his top priority, but warns that job racketeering, absenteeism, and other vices will attract strict sanctions.
If you are enjoying any welfare, you have to be disciplined. You have to promote the name of the service. Any of the personnel that involves in job racketeering will show the way out to that person.
The challenge now, he says, is to balance welfare with discipline, so the fire service delivers the safety that residents of the capital, and indeed Nigerians more broadly, expect. In Abuja, Victor Azu, NTA News.
From Abuja, we take you to Lagos, where the need to train and retrain seafarers in the maritime sector to boost capacity building and put Nigeria on the global map has been brought to the fore. This was at a meeting of maritime stakeholders in Lagos. Ese Onwamaka reports.
The meeting between the Minister of Marine and Blue Economy, Adegboyega Oyetola, key stakeholders in the maritime sector, and the Secretary General of the International Maritime Organization, Arsenio Dominguez, provided a platform to chart the way forward in strengthening and deepening collaborative efforts to reshape Nigeria's maritime sector. Capacity building and development for Nigerian seafarers, with a focus on equipping them to compete globally, formed a major highlight of the discussions.
They need a practical experience. The capacity within the country may not give them sufficient exposure. So we need your assistance in ensuring that these seafarers, once they attain the necessary academic qualification, they have the opportunity to be able to be put on international vessels.
We want to bring more attention to shaping into maritime into your global population, because it reflects into job opportunities. Yeah. It would be good to see what else the academy is doing to advertise and market shipping as a future career.
Arsenio Dominguez, who expressed satisfaction with some of the strides recorded in the Nigerian maritime industry, assured that the International Maritime Organization will continue to support Nigeria in advancing safety, security, and sustainability across the sector.
With the Safe Seas project of IMO, that's another area where we continue to find opportunities to assist and provide more input.
And also to encourage new players to come in and enhance and promote the development of the old players.
The Lekki Deep Sea Port, one of the flagship projects of the Nigerian maritime sector, was also presented to the IMO Secretary General. The visit of the IMO Secretary General to Nigeria is expected to open fresh avenues for cooperation between the IMO and NIMASA. In Lagos, S.A. Onwamaka, NT News.
The members of Board of Trustees and the National Executive Committee of Ukomu Igala Organization UIO is calling for urgent enforcement of safety standards in inland waterways transportation in Nigeria by both the federal, state and local governments to prevent frequent boat mishaps. In a statement by National Leader Ukomu Igala Organization, Major General James Ataguba, retired, the group made this suggestion while reacting to the tragic boat mishap that occurred on 30th September 2025 in Ibaji local government area of Kogi State that resulted in the loss of many innocent lives and some valuable properties. Ukomu Igala Organization attributed increasing boat mishaps in Nigeria's inland waterways to largely neglect of safety standards by boat operators and the regulatory authorities. Consequently, the group is calling on both the Ibaji local government and Kogi state government to expedite action on the proposed investigation of the tragic Ibaji boat incident with a view to holding those responsible accountable, prevent a recurrence, and bring succor to our people. It also appealed to the federal and the Kogi state governments to address the age-long neglect of Ibaji local government area, especially with regard to water and road transportation and provision of other basic social amenities. Talking health now, the Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention NCDC has confirmed 11 new cases of Lassa fever and 2 deaths in its latest epidemiological report for week 37 of 2025. The report, signed by the NCDC Director General, Dr. Jide Idris, reveals that the new figures bring the total number of confirmed cases this year to 895, with 166 deaths recorded so far. This represents a case fatality rate of 18.5%. The report also highlights that Ondo, Bauchi, Edo, Taraba, and Ebonyi states account for nearly 90% of all confirmed cases, indicating persistent outbreaks in these regions. In total, 21 states and 106 local government areas have reported cases of Lassa fever in 2025. The NCDC is also urging state governments to maintain year-round public sensitization efforts, improve environmental sanitation, and encourage people to seek medical attention early when symptoms appear. Health workers, especially in high-risk areas, are advised to maintain a high index of suspicion for Lassa fever and adhere strictly to infection prevention protocols. The Kogi State's government has announced a strict ban on all trailer parks across the state, effective October 29, 2025. A statement from the Commissioner for Information and Communications, Kinsley Femi Fao, says the decision is a proactive security measure based on intelligence reports. FAO states that the government has identified specific parks at Zariagi and Osara as hideouts for criminal elements threatening the peace and security of the state. Security agencies have been directed to enforce the ban without compromise, and violators will face the full weight of the law. The government has urged trailer operators to comply with the order before the enforcement date and has called on residents to support this action, reiterating that protecting lives and property is its top priorities. This is the news at 10 on NTA News 24. Here is a recap of our top stories. INEC chairman appeals for expedited Electoral Act amendment. Africa Energy Week, Nigeria reassures transparent and investor-friendly petroleum sector.
The number of rigs were barely about 14, but today the number of rigs working in Nigeria are about 50. And we hope to, increase this number significantly before the end of the year.
University Union demands better funding, improved working conditions to curb brain drain.
Urges the federal government and state governments to grant full autonomy to university governing councils.
And Lassa fever continues to consume more lives. NCDC advocates intense advocacy to curb spread.
This is NTA News 24.
A new set of leaders have emerged to represent the interest and well-being of Christians in the northern region of the country. The official inauguration and investiture of the new movement Northern Christian Religious Leaders Assembly, which took place in Abuja, was attended by dignitaries across the country, including the Secretary to the Government of the Federation and representatives of state governors from the north. Momso Damien Dati has details.
Dominion Chapel, Abuja, full beyond capacity with delegates from the 19 states of the northern region.
The church has not only been a sanctuary of worship, but also a driver of education, social welfare, moral values. In Nigeria, Christian leaders have played pivotal roles, shaping the society, fostering peace, and speaking the truth to those in power.
And we are committed to progress, committed to peace. And we know that together we're going to see the Church of Jesus arising with one voice to speak for truth, to speak for justice, and to become a voice for the voiceless.
It is the first inauguration and investiture of leaders of a new movement, Northern Christian Religious Leaders Assembly.
So this call is not about you. It's about the common good of Christians in the north and in Nigeria at large.
There is no way you can build a nation when the populace are in bondage.
For the purpose of advocating for peace and promoting unity, that is what this assembly has come to do.
We are one of the segments of Nigeria that believe in the unity of this country.
You say when you empower a woman, you empower a nation.
Like for instance, I'm a Christian, a reverend. My younger brother, the same mother, is a Muslim. Should I fight him because it's not my religion? It's not possible.
12 board of patrons, 16 executives, and 23 zonal chairmen selected from the 19 states. Momso Damien Dati, NTA News.
On foreign news, protests worldwide condemn Israeli interception of Gaza flotilla. And in the Central African Republic, the race for the presidency is heating up with President Faustin Archange Touadera officially submitting his candidacy for the December 28 election. Ekenendulue has details on the foreign news.
Protesters around the world on Thursday railed at Israel's interception of a flotilla carrying aid for Gaza's besieged Palestinians, urging greater sanctions in response. From Europe to Australia and South America, demonstrators took to the streets to condemn the treatment of the global Sumud flotilla, which set sail from Barcelona last month to challenge Israel's blockade of Gaza, where the United Nations reports famine conditions after nearly 2 years of war. 41 ships with more than 400 people aboard, including politicians and climate campaigner Greta Thunberg, were halted by the Israeli Navy from Wednesday and prevented from reaching the coastal territory. Around 15,000 people marched through Barcelona in protest at Israel's actions. Several hundred protesters also marched outside the Irish Parliament in Dublin. In the Central African Republic, President Touadera confirmed his bid for a third term with his candidacy filed at the National Elections Authority in Bangui. The submission was made by Secretary General of the United Hearts Movement, calling it a vital step in upholding democratic norms. But the path to the ballot box is already proving rocky. Opposition groups are calling for a halt to election preparations, demanding national dialogue before proceeding. Crepin Mbonligumba, a key opposition leader, warned of a potential boycott, stating bluntly, "We cannot take part in the elections without securing the holding of a dialogue." Touadera, first elected in 2016 and re-elected in a disputed 2020 vote, is running under a 2023 constitution that removed previous term limits, fueling fears he is aiming for a presidency for life. While the National Elections Authority pledges a transparent and inclusive vote, concerns linger over political tensions and persistent insecurity. With candidate submissions open until October 11, all eyes are now on whether opposition leaders will follow suit or follow through on their threat to walk away from the December 28 election.
Let's shift our attention to entertainment news now. Imagine a world without the rhythm of music, the thrill of movies, or the laughter of comedy shows. The entertainment industry is more than just a form of leisure. It's a global powerhouse driving economic growth, providing millions of jobs and generating over $2.8 trillion annually. As Nigeria celebrates 65 years of independence, its vibrant entertainment sector is taking center stage. Here is a package put together by entertainment correspondent Ekemini Williams.
Nigeria's entertainment industry is making waves globally with its music, movies, fashion, art, and vibrant lifestyle, captivating audiences worldwide. As Nigeria celebrates 65 years of its independence, creatives are sharing their thoughts on what this milestone means to them.
We probably would have been, if we went with the pace of 1977, First Act 77, I'm sure Nigeria should have been like top, second or third well-known entertainment country, but we're still doing very well. Afrobeat guys are doing well, our movies are doing very well, our writers are cleaning out and writing very well, and they're also winning awards. We have fashion designers who are also doing very well. Our culinary art is being pushed. We have the Guinness Book of Record for jollof rice that Hilda Bassi just did. We also have the creative arts, the the guy Tunde that plays chess. There are quite a lot of things that the entertainment sector has grown, and we have concerts being sold out, comedy concerts.
I've traveled out, I've gone to different African countries, and I've done shows. But I can tell you that there's no place like Nigeria. Whenever I go out, as a creative, as a comedian, I just came from Rwanda, Kigali, just because I'm a Nigerian. Everybody came to me, just because I'm a Nigerian. So I love all that.
It's basically because Nigerian entertainment industry is picking up above other African countries, film-making nations. And because the film industry started in Nigeria, the comedy industry blew up. Our music is going up. So the entertainment in Nigeria is really going up now. Not as when we came in, it was more of an analog. Today has gone far. When we came in, we talked so much on piracy. Today we talk less about piracy. When we came in, it was so much hard carrying the equipment and everything. Today is less hard. When we came in, there was not so much outreach like television houses. Today you can even be in your house and stream your product or stream whatever you want.
Beyond fashion, we are also looking at telling the true Nigerian story. We want to be able to sell the authentic Nigerian image to people outside of Nigeria.
Yeah, there's a particular, should I say, model of motorcycles called the GS. We have a GS group, 500 people. Every year we have a GS safari, 5-10 days on the road, different parts of the country. Anywhere there's a new, should I say, discovered spot that we haven't been to before, someone puts it on the platform, everybody wants to go there. I think this year we're looking to go to Katsina, Kano, Abuja. There's waterfalls in the southwest that we want to visit. So those are places, and sometimes because we have bikes, we can climb up the hills and tracks that vehicles can't access. So we do have a lot of tourism potential that if we could find a way to collaborate with the Ministry of Tourism, that's why, as I said, we've come closer to the government this time, we would be able to help highlight those parts that would really make our country what it should be, which is a tourist destination.
The reception has been mad. Wherever you go, you take off your helmet and they're like, wow, that's a girl, that's a lady. And the reception has been mad. But one thing I have to say that for 65 years, Nigeria has so many beautiful places to go.
Oh my gosh, like I'm so excited to travel all around the country and see what happens. I want to see how every single, I guess you can say, corner of Nigeria celebrates independence, because we have so many beautiful tribes and so many beautiful, beautiful cultures.
Happy Independence, Nigeria!
Beautiful entertainment news there. And that concludes the news at 10 on NTA News 24. Thank you for watching. I am Norlene Ebel-Ann. See you at the top of the hour for the news update.